And so he took that news back to the doctors, and what they didn't realize is I wasn't in denial. The reason I was able to laugh and be happy was only because I had accepted it. Not because I was avoiding it, but because I accepted it fully. And I realized that that was the only logical choice I had.
Well, of course, and it's a powerful choice. And the truth is most people don't have the presence of mind to be able to make that.
Sure.
So you were in the hospital for this length of time, and I'm assuming in recovery mode. How long did it actually take you to recover physically, just physically? I know you still have the brain damage. It's a condition that doesn't exactly go away, right? And
Sure.
I'm sure has impacted your whole life.
Yeah, much better, but it is probably of all the remaining, effects of the accident, that's the one that I still deal with.
How long did it take you to recover?
The first step, doctors said I'd never walk again, and then they said probably 6 months to a year, we think we can get him walking again. And Jill, this was pretty miraculous. 3 months after the night of the crash, after the night I was found dead, the night that they said I would never walk again and I broke 13 bones, 3 weeks later I went and took some routine x-rays, and the doctors came in later that night and they sat me down with my mom and dad and they said, Mr. and Mrs. Elrod and Hal, we have some amazing news for you. They said, we can't explain it. Like logically, we have no explanation for this, but Hal, you're healing at a miraculous rate. And we'd like you to go ahead and take your first step tomorrow and try and take your first step and actually walk. I was like, come again? I had accepted that I wasn't going to walk for 6 months to a year. It wasn't easy to accept, but I accepted what I couldn't change. So it was amazing news. And then quickly it turned to fear. I thought, wait a minute, with this broken pelvis and this leg, it hurts me to sit. I had kneeled at that point. They had me stand. I was doing a little bit of therapy every day. But to walk was really frightening. And I think taking the first step, that's such a metaphor for life. Any first step into the unknown, into something that we haven't yet done or we view might be uncomfortable or painful, is fearful. And I was really scared. But the next day I took my first step. And after you take the first step, isn't the second one so much easier?
Definitely so much easier. But what do you think? What do you think made that happen?
Honestly, I believe, faith, faith in myself, faith in a higher power, faith in the good of life, faith that, the law of attraction, right? I'm sure you're familiar with The Secret and all of that. The idea that if I have positive attitude and focus my thoughts on positive things, that it makes life that much easier. And I find that, you can go through life with a negative or a positive attitude, but having the positive attitude makes the negative circumstances so much easier to deal with. And, I don't have any scientific proof or chart to say, well, here's how positive my attitude was and here's how fast I could walk or my recovery happened. But could it have to do with a positive attitude? I can only say that I believe absolutely that because I had that 5-minute rule and I wasn't complaining and I wasn't feeling like a victim and I wasn't thinking about the things that I could no longer change, I believe that allowed me to heal and get through it so much faster.
Oh, I'm sure, and the miraculous power of that.
Sure.
So you're 29 now.
Yes.
And you've written a book called, what's your book called?
Taking Life Head On, the Hal Elrod story, and it's loving the life you have while creating the life of your dreams.
So that must have been in a way cathartic too, to actually write this book down, write the story. I know there's some powerful pictures in that book of you in the accident with blood all over you at the crashed car.
Sure.
I mean, these are visually shocking too, but also, of course, you and how you look now, and I know you're inspiring and keynoting and speaking exactly what you wanted to do. Funny enough.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's funny. I tell my audiences when I give a speech, I always say, I had a dream of being a motivational speaker. And I used to hope for it and pray about it and really, write that goal down and be careful what you wish for. Because, see, I didn't have a good enough life story to be a motivational speaker. I had a pretty normal childhood. So there was, if I spoke to anyone, it'd be like, well, who are you to tell me to be happy and love the life I have and create the life of my dreams? You haven't dealt with the kind of stuff I've dealt with. So I was given this story for which to be the living example that, hey, if I could love the life I had, as bad as it was at that time, and transcend that experience to create the life of my dreams, so can you. If I could do it and get through that, then absolutely you can too.
Well, so what was one of the hardest things you've had to deal with during this period of time?
The hardest things I've had to deal with through the period of time, you mean in the hospital or just since then?
Just in the whole time from the accident to your recovery. What's some of the hardest things you've had to overcome?
Hardest things I've had to overcome. See, Jill, I'm going to answer that in a roundabout way.
Okay.
And not to be indirect, but I just don't look at things that way. And if I can share what I mean, I believe that in life we all have 2 pages to focus on. Okay, and whether it's kind of up in our head, but at any given time we've got a page. Every person on this planet has a page that lists all that we have to be grateful for, all that we have to feel good about, that can make us happy, past, present, and future. All of our qualities, our strengths, our family, our friends, you name it. And on the other page, everything we have to feel bad about, to be depressed about, to be sad about, to be angry about, to feel defeated or discouraged, insecure, doubtful, you name it. Everything's on that page. So there's the good page and the bad page.
And we all have both.
We all have both.
Absolutely.
No matter how good or bad your life is, it's not worse. I mean, we all have both. And negative people, if I could, put a general label on, negative people always say, I'm not negative, I'm realistic. You've got your head in the clouds. I'm realistic. I'm not negative. And my question is this for all people is, why is it more realistic to focus on, think about, and talk about to others the negative page in your life? How is that more realistic than focusing on talking about and thinking about all the positive? Now, I check in with the negative because I learn lessons there. I learn things not to do, or things that I want to avoid, or things that I need to improve on. But I live my life on the positive side. And that's, when you ask me what was the toughest thing, I looked at every single challenge as an opportunity. The tougher it was, the greater the opportunity, not only for me to overcome it and become stronger, but also for me to one day be able to help other people. And and I assume that everybody wants to help other people. And if you don't make the best of your life and overcome your challenges and really make the most of the life that you have, you can't help anybody else do the same thing. And I took it as my responsibility that I got to make the best of it so that I can one day help other people through my speaking or through my book or whatever it is.
Wow. So you really see this, it's no matter what, that's how you're stepping forward.
Yeah.
And if you were to, shall we say, give some messages of hope,
sure,
besides, of course, what you just said, which I think is so phenomenal and so hopeful. Yeah. But, when you were laying there, and it sounds to me almost like you didn't have moments of that. I could see why the doctors might think you're in denial. It seems so odd in a certain way for most people to accept that you're okay with this and you're making choices, which I think is phenomenal. But if you were to say to me, hey, Jill, when you're in that moment of doubt, of negativity, of whatever, that people who might be watching today are, people are dealing with a lot of life circumstances these days in the economy and their homes and whatever they're dealing with, the stresses of daily life. What would you say to do to get through a day more hopefully?
That's a great question. And I'll share with you what I call my ABCs, the ABCs of loving the life you have while creating the life of your dreams. And A is to accept life before it happens. See, acceptance is something I believe you have to decide in advance, because it's really tough when you're in the midst of tragedy or adversity to be really clear-headed in your thinking and go, I'm going to look at this way. How I had that clarity, I honestly can't tell you. But I don't take credit for it. I don't know what higher power or what energy. I don't know what that was that allowed me to have that wisdom that I did. I don't think it was all me. But to accept life before it happens it's just a logical, intelligent, conscious decision that anything in life that comes your way that you can't change, that you'll accept it, because the only choice you have is either to resist it, to wish that it didn't happen, to be a victim, to call it unfair and create all this pain for yourself, or to live by that 5-minute rule. It's now my 5-second rule. It's like, okay, curse, moan, whatever you got to do, and then you focus completely on moving forward and what you can control. So accepting life before it happens, and I use what I call my can't change it philosophy. Whenever something happens, I go, I find myself frustrated or angry, and I tell myself, wait a minute, I can't change it. And in fact, if you're going through home in traffic tonight, Jill, this is a great opportunity to try out the can't change it philosophy. When you're driving in traffic and you find, God, go faster, I'm going to be late, I need to be there, and you find yourself frustrated, I always remind myself, wait a minute, I can't change it. I can't change how fast the cars are moving. I can't change when I'm going to get from point A to point B. I can only change or choose my experience of point A to point B. And that leads into the B of ABCs, which is be grateful for everything. The good, which is easy, and the tragedy, the adversity, because like my accident, we learn from it, we grow from it. And like Kanye West says in his new song, that don't kill you can only make you what?
Grow stronger,
Grow
right?
stronger, can only make you stronger. And the C is create daily progress toward your dreams. So whatever your goals are, whatever your vision is, create daily progress, one step at a time. And I think people get so overwhelmed with the end result. They go, how am I going to get from point A to point B? I'll tell you how. One step, one day, one activity at a time. And so that, for me, that's the formula, and it's pretty simple. It's accept life before it happens. Accept all the things you can't change. Be grateful for everything that you have, everything that you are, everything that you're learning, all the opportunities and the challenges you get to turn into opportunities. And then create daily progress toward the vision that you have for your life. And that's a nice little package formula that allows you to love the life that you have while you're in pursuit, while you're creating the life of your dreams.
I love that. And will you also, for the people who want to get in touch with you, give us your email address, please?
Absolutely. It is Hal, H-A-L, at yopalhal.com. That's YOPALHAL.com. Hal at yopalhal.com.
Perfect. And if you want to get a hold of me, you can email me and look at messagesofhope/JillLublin.com. So I want to, if I may, ask you a little bit more to share what I might refer to as your last message of hope as we come to the end of the show. Tell us, share with us what you'd like to leave our viewers with.
Well, I believe that the purpose of life, I think it's a two-sided coin. And I think that it is about loving the life you have, simultaneously creating the life of your dreams. And we see it with so many celebrities. They got half of the coin. They're pursuing the life of their dreams for their entire life. They're chasing this goal, chasing this dream, to be a star, to be famous. Once they achieve that dream and they have everything they thought they wanted, they turn to vices, to drugs, to suicide, because they never learned how to love the life they had. And when they got what they thought they wanted, they were at a loss because they didn't know how to love what they had. So that's my message of hope, is that learn to love what you have by accepting, being grateful, and then create the life of your dreams by daily progress.
I love that. So if for you, what's next for your life of dreams?
I'm starting a group coaching program instead of I've got a private coaching, but so now I can help more people, and a nonprofit called the Youth Empowerment Coaching Foundation, so that I can bring life coaching to every high school student in America. And that's my vision, that's my big dream.
Oh, I love that, and I wish you well. And I know that tonight you've inspired so many of our listeners and viewers to have more hope. And certainly it's my intention that you, each one of you watching tonight, shall have more messages of hope. We thank Hal for sharing his message of hope, and I wish you all good night.